Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Viष्णupada Paramahansa Privajacharya Ashtotara Shuddhashi Srimati Sri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jayam Viष्णुपाद Paramahansa Privajacharya Ashtotara Shuddhashi Srimati Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Prem Se Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaur Bhaktinda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan ki Vrindavan Dham ki Mathura Dham ki Ganga Mai ki Yamuna Mai ki, Tulasi Devi ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtabhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vikasa Swamin Iti Namine. Okay, can someone take him? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Canto 2, Chapter 8, text number 24. Sarvam etach cha bhagavan prichato me anupurvashah tattvato arhasi udahartum prapannaya Mahamune Sarvamitascha Bhagavan Sarvamitascha Bhagavan Prichate me anupurvashah Tattvator is, how do I say this here? Tattvatorsi udhartum Prapannaya Mahamune Sarvamitascha Bhagavan Prichato me anupurvashaha Tattvato rahasya udartum Prapannaya Mahamune Sarvamitascha Bhagavan Prichato me anupurvashaha Sorry. Prachato me nupurvashaha Tattvato risi udhartum Prapannaya Mahamune. Please repeat.
Sarvametacha Bhagavan Prichato me nupurvashaha Tattvato hasyudahartum Prapannaya Mahamune. Sarvametacha Bhagavan Prichato me nupurvashaha Tattvato hasyudahartum Prapannaya Mahamune.
Sarvametacha Bhagavan Prichato me nupurvashaha Tattvato hasyudahartum Prapannaya Mahamune.
Sarvametacha Bhagavan Prichato me nupurvashaha Tattvato hasyudahartum Prapannaya Mahamune.
Anyone else?
Sarvametacha Bhagavan Prichato me nupurvashaha Tattvato hasya udahartam Prapannaya Mahamune.
Mataji's?
Sarvametacha Bhagavan Prichato me nupurvashaha Tattvato hasyudahartum Prapannaya Mahamune.
Anyone else? No? Okay. Let me get this back up here. Oh, I've lost it here. Okay. Sarvam, all these, etat, inquiries, cha, also that I have not been able to ask. Bhagavan, O great sage, Prichahataha, of the inquisitive, me, myself, Anupurvasaha, from the beginning, Tattvataha, just in accordance with the truth. Arhasi, may kindly be explained. Udahartum, as you will let know. Prapannaya, one who is surrendered. Mahamune, O great sage. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. O great sage, representative of the Lord, kindly satisfy my inquisitiveness in all that I have inquired from you and all that I may not have inquired from you from the very beginning of my questioning. Since I am a soul surrendered unto you, please impart full knowledge in this connection. Purport. The spiritual master is always prepared to impart knowledge to the disciple, and specifically when the disciple is very inquisitive. Inquisitive on the part of the disciple is greatly necessary for the progressive disciple. Maharaj Parikshit is a typical disciple because he is perfectly inquisitive. If one is not very inquisitive about self-realization, one need not approach a spiritual master simply to make a show of discipleship. Not only is Maharaj Parikshit inquisitive concerning all he has inquired about, but he is also anxious to know what he has not been able to inquire. Factually, it is not possible for a man to inquire about everything from the spiritual master, but the bona fide spiritual master is able to enlighten the disciple in every way for the disciple's benefit. Om Jnanatimrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavancha Shri Rupam Savrachadam Sakana Ragnathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savitam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shiv Shakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shivani Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Panchakalpataruvesha Kripa Sindhubhya Vishapatitanam Bhavinibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo 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 Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swamin Iti Namane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Okay, so coming to the end here of this conversation or this questioning and questions by Maharaj Parikshit going on here, he concludes by this statement here, that making the statement that I've inquired so much from you already. Now please kindly satisfy my inquisitiveness and also answer those questions which I have not asked. So here, a few things are addressed in the translation itself. The position of the spiritual master and the position of the disciple is very important to understand. And the mood of the disciple and the mood of the spiritual master is a very, the verse itself has quite a lot of depth to it, like that, not that any other verse, I mean, every verse in Srimad Bhagavatam has such deep levels of understanding to it. So here, especially this principle of guru and disciple is being addressed by Srila Prabhupada in the purport also. So it's very important to understand this principle of guru and disciple and the relationship between the guru and the disciple, how one acts as a disciple and how the guru acts also as a spiritual master. So as the Shastra makes so many points so many times, that naturally the human form of life is for the nature of inquiry. And that is the only purpose of it. And so in order to do that, one must start to inquire about the absolute truth. This we've discussed many times, so we may just have that as a base understanding. So one who wants to inquire about spiritual life, he doesn't just ask questions to anyone. So he approaches somebody who knows. So tasmad gurum prapadyeta jigyasu shayamuttamam shabde parancha nishnatam brahmanya upasmashrayam. Therefore, any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. The qualification of the bona fide spiritual master is that he has realized the conclusion of the scriptures by deliberation and is able to convince others of these conclusions. Such great personalities have taken shelter of the Supreme Godhead, leaving aside all material considerations, should be understood to be a bona fide spiritual master. So, one who is seriously seeking proper happiness, who's seriously seeking the ultimate goal of life, should approach a spiritual master, and Shastra gives the qualification of such a person. That he is fixed, he has realized the conclusion of the scriptures, is not just some dry philosopher, and he can convince others of this conclusion. So such personalities, they have taken complete shelter of the Supreme Godhead, leaving aside all material considerations. They do not care for any sort of material consideration, just like Prabhupada makes the point here often that in this purport, that it's not that one takes a spiritual master for some showmanship, that it's not just a show, it's some discipleship. Okay, now I have a spiritual master, I can do whatever the hell I like. Now I got initiation, that was the goal of my life, and that's it, that's the end of it. We see that more and more within the Krishna conscious society, but more even outside of the Krishna conscious society, that one just takes a spiritual master because it's a fad. It's nice to like, oh yeah, I'm spiritual, so now I have a spiritual master. But neither do they know what a spiritual master is, and nor do they inquire about the proper subject matter. So the Srimad Bhagavatam makes the important point: a person who is searching after the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, must certainly search for it up to this in all circumstances, in all space and time, and both directly and indirectly. So a person who is really inquisitive, he asks, he searches after the supreme absolute truth, not just sometimes, not just on your day off, not just when I get off work on a break, I'll do this, or when I get some free time here and there, I'll do it, or when I get old, I'll do it. Often the classic one within the Indian families is, when you get old, then you can become a sadhu. Why do you want to do it now? Why do you want to renounce now? So a person who's searching after the absolute truth, it's not that you inquire about it in a specific place, in a specific circumstances, but one should inquire about it all the time, in all circumstances, both directly and indirectly, it's stated here. So the nature of a disciple is inquisitiveness. He is inquiring about the supreme absolute truth. Now, that inquiry, obviously, we understand should be made to a proper spiritual master, as the qualification is given by the Srimad Bhagavatam, who a spiritual master is. Now, somebody could put forward the argument, why? Why approach a spiritual master? Shastra is there. Anyway, Shastra is the center of everything. It's not that the spiritual master is the center. It is Sadhu, Guru, and Shastra, and all of those, the Shastra is in the middle, and from that we understand, right? So then why do I need a guru? I'll just go study Vedanta, I'll go study Bhagavad Gita, and I myself will become self-realized. I'll go out and I'll perform these activities. I'll go and read and understand and perform austerities and meditation and become self-realized. What's the problem with that? What's the issue? Exactly. So you want to go study Shastra, but the Shastra itself, it says one should approach a guru. Acharya mam vijanyam. That actually Krishna says that I am the Acharya. I am the spiritual master. So one should approach the spiritual master for proper knowledge. Because by approaching a spiritual master for proper knowledge, one is granted that knowledge. So then one needs to know how to approach. Actually, we're mentioning inquisitiveness here, but one has to know what is real inquisitiveness. So many people are inquisitive. You meet these people who are inquisitive or very smart. Yes, I'm going to ask very, very, very smart questions. But do they actually want to hear? Some people ask questions for the sake of just asking questions. Why? So they can seem intelligible, and then when you start to speak, then their mind runs so many places. Or they're not willing to accept a proper understanding. So inquisitiveness does not just mean asking questions. That's very, very important to understand. This inquiry that is being stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam is not just that the sages, oh yes, they're just asking questions, okay, ask. But you got to understand their mood of inquiry. The mood of inquiry is not just to feel like a philosopher. That's what, like we've discussed before, that's what philosophy is. You just ask questions and you're intelligent because you ask questions. But actually that's not the definition of intelligence that's given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Intelligence means to obviously make inquiry, but make inquiry in a proper way. How does one do that? Well, we understand that submissiveness is there, that's an aspect of it. But inquiry requires one to actually desire to hear. And to desire, what does hearing mean? It means one hears in order to bring about change in his life. Bring about a change in his life. Not that you just hear out from one ear and then let it out the other. That is not real hearing, that is not real inquisitiveness. Inquisitive means one specifically inquires about these subject matters in order to make a change in his life. He wants to take the jnana and then there's vijnana. One wants to turn that into vijnana. One wants to turn that into practical experience of what he has heard. He doesn't want to just hear it. Therefore, Prabhupada often says, we're not just dry philosophers. We're not just here to discuss philosophy. This is not the point of devotional service. Devotional service means to engage in devotional service. So the disciple has to have a proper mood, that he is inquiring for the purpose of changing, for the purpose of actually coming to an ultimate platform of Krishna consciousness, of his spiritual existence. Such an inquirer, Prabhupada says, well, the qualification of a hearer, he says in, I think there's 8th text here. Let me see here, or the 5th text here. Prabhupada says, let me see, I've lost it here. Okay, maybe I've lost it here. He says one thing here, but then there's another piece of information that is also very important. I'll read this out. Those who listen to the Bhagavatam may put questions to the speaker in order to elicit, is that E-L-I-C-I-T? Elicit the clear meaning, but this should not be done in a challenging spirit. One must submit questions with a great regard for the speaker and the subject matter. This is also the way recommended in the Bhagavad Gita. One must learn the transcendental subject by submissive oral reception from the right sources. Therefore, the sages address the speaker, Sutta Goswami, with great respect. So, here. Okay, so another main point Prabhupada makes in another purport is that the person who is the disciple, the qualification for him to actually get proper knowledge is that he is eager to hear and that he is sincere. He is humble. He's willing to accept the spiritual master's qualification, like as Prabhupada was saying here. He's putting forward questions with great regard for the Srimad Bhagavatam and great regard for the speaker himself also. So Prabhupada says in another purport in the Bhagavatam, 8th chapter, so here Prabhupada says the reason is the first item, Shravanam, is very important. If hearing is from the right sources, it acts very quickly. Generally, people hear from the authorized persons. Such authorized persons may be very learned by academic qualifications, but because they do not follow the principles of devotional service, hearing from them becomes a sheer waste of time. Sometimes the texts are interpreted fashionably to suit their own purpose. Therefore, first one should select a competent and bona fide speaker and then hear from him. When the hearing process is perfect and complete, the other processes become automatically perfect in their own way. Oh, my computer? I've got a lot of notes up here too, so maybe. So Prabhupada makes so when one wants to come to the platform of spiritual life, you got to understand there's a lot of. It takes a lot because it takes the disciple, the inquisitive person, to be qualified, and then that person also has to find a qualified spiritual master. And this is very rare in this world. It's very rare to find a pure spiritual master, or a person who is actually acting in the pure line of devotional service. It is very difficult to find because we see so many cheaters, just like all the devotees here have been to these Comic-Cons and these BMS, Body Mind Spirit Expo. And we see over and over again that the conditioned soul is cheated again and again and again by all these people. Why is it so? Well, they themselves, there's a insincerity within their hearts. They're not willing to hear the real thing. Just like when you approach him with the Srimad Bhagavatam, we're not offering to people some wild spiritual experience, actually. We're offering to them reality. We're not, their idea of spiritual life, this is the issue, that they come in with the idea. It's not inquiry. They already have an idea of what they want. But that's not how a disciple approaches a spiritual master. It's not you approach someone with, okay, I want this. I just want you to say what I want. This is not sincere. But they seem sincere because if you say what I want to hear, then I'll follow it. In that way, they get cheated. But actually, spiritual life is not this wild experience that you feel and it's like amazing and you feel like your energies are like going crazy and you feel like you're above your body and all this. This is not what spiritual life is. This is just mental masturbation. This is just on the platform of the mind. People experience that and they think, oh, this is spirituality. But this is just the platform of the mind. The mind is taking you here and there, here and there, here and there. And it's creating some artificial experience. And then you're thinking, oh, this is very nice. But factually, this is not spiritual life. Because if we see those serious practitioners who are absorbed in real spiritual life, you'll see how you'll just like when one sees a spiritual master, they see the detachment from material nature. One sees devotion, that intense devotional service to Krishna. They're not sitting there going, wow, I feel the love. You see their gravity. That's one of the qualities of a spiritual master. Guru, he's heavy with knowledge. They don't mess around with, oh yes, you can feel this, feel that. No. Understand the real goal of life. We're not making some show bottle thing. The spiritual master is not a showman. He doesn't go around performing a show. Otherwise, you can't understand what is what, actually, as Prabhupada says. Prabhupada says, by reading Bhagavad Gita, you can understand what is what. But actually, if you don't follow this authority of Vedic literature or the spiritual master, you can't understand what is what, because everybody has their own experience. So what is actually spiritual? How do you define what is spiritual? You cannot. Everybody has their own definition. That means there is no definition. So the spiritual master helps us come to this point. One approaches a spiritual master who is fixed in this, who is not just fixed in it, but he's experienced in it. Therefore, Shukadev Goswami, Sutta Goswami prays like this. Let me offer my respectful obeisance unto him, Shuka, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyasadeva, who, out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest region of material existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of the Vedic knowledge after having personally assimilated by experience. So the spiritual master has experience. He is not a dry philosopher. And you can understand this how? By his achar, vichar and prachar. You can understand this by his behavior, by his speech, and by his achar, by his contemplation. You can see that. How's that contemplation? Well, his contemplation is seen in his achar. So one examines a spiritual master like this, through his achar, vichar and prachar. His behavior, his what is this? How do I say this again? His preaching, and then his own understanding, his deep realizations. So one understands a spiritual master like this. One does not just submit to anyone, because that submission to the spiritual master is at the forefront of devotional service. Guru Pada Ashraya, that's right? Is that the right Sanskrit? So that is the first duty of the disciple. That is the first duty of anybody that wants to take up spiritual life seriously, that he is surrendered to the Guru. How? Through his mind, body, and his complete soul. He's completely surrendered unto the Guru. So if you're going to completely surrender unto someone, you better make sure that this person is not a blind person. As the Bhagavatam says, that the blind are leading the blind, bewildered by being absorbed in the external energy. So if you are going to surrender unto someone, your body, mind, words, and life itself, as it is recommended in the Shastra, then one must very carefully see that the spiritual master is bona fide. And that is done by proper inquiry, by proper knowledge, by purification of heart. One has to have purification of heart. Just like myself, when I heard my spiritual master speak, immediately I was like, no way, not him. Because what did he say? He said, do you want vagina or do you want Krishna? Immediately, no way. No, this person is no. Why? Because there's no purification in the heart. So much covered by Rajas and Tamas. So much covered by the nature to enjoy this material world, to enjoy devotional service, to enjoy Krishna consciousness. So covered by that and the putting those together, material life and spiritual life, and having a balance of the two. So when one meets a spiritual master who is very sharp, cutting, Chindante Hridaya Granthis, one who cuts through the knot of material existence, that is the binding knot within the heart, is very like, oh, no way. Insincerity is there. No, I don't want this because this guru is too strict. And when I heard that, that's what I was thinking, and then later down the line, when by the mercy of the devotees and by performing the process of devotional service, there was purification, and then I could understand that this is actually for the benefit, just like here, Sutta Goswami is saying for the benefit, just like out of his great compassion, those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest region of material existence, spoke this most confidential supplement of the cream of the Vedic knowledge. And that's how, like we've discussed many times, Shukadeva Goswami starts like that. What is the use of all of these things? What is the use of building a house when there is a tree to sleep under? And he goes on and on and on, just going heavy into Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit is a very gentle disciple, and he's inquiring and it just cuts into him straight. And this darkest region, this nature to enjoy, we're so conditioned by that, it's almost become our inherent nature. Just being just in that nature for so long, it's just natural just to jump back into it. So in that position of the living entity, he cannot make proper inquiry. And even if he does make proper inquiry, he tends to pick and choose what he likes and what he doesn't like. Why? Because he's on the platform of the mind, Manorathena. So on the platform of the mind, one rejects and accepts what is good for his sense gratification. But when one starts to come above the mind, he stops accepting and rejecting on the platform of sense gratification, and he starts accepting and rejecting things on the platform of Krishna consciousness. What is good for me, for my Krishna consciousness, and what is bad for me, I reject. So the disciple has to undergo that the person who is inquiring, he has to undergo purification. How does that happen? By hearing from the spiritual master himself. And when he realizes, by hearing, he realizes, oh, this person, he's actually speaking for the benefit of my existence. He's actually speaking the proper knowledge, that he's speaking in line. So one approaches a spiritual master to get proper knowledge by which he can cross over the material existence. So one must understand that in order to do this, there is that inquisitive nature, but the part of that, to be endowed knowledge, is not just by asking questions only, is by service. Is service to the spiritual master. Actually, this is the platform one should come to after his inquiry. But along with the inquiry, when that service is there, then that knowledge is passed on to the disciple. Just like Srila Prabhupada didn't have so many questions for his spiritual master. Prabhupada is making the point, one should be very inquisitive on the part of the disciple is greatly necessary for the progressive disciple. Prabhupada only had one question, how may I serve you? Right? What is that? That means that's the conclusion of all inquiries, actually. How may I serve you? This is the conclusion of all our inquiries. So many questions we can ask. But actually at the end of it, service is what one actually should derive. If you just derive some knowledge, but there's no service as a result of that knowledge, then that knowledge is absolutely useless, even though it may be knowledge from the Vedas. Because he has not come to a realization. It's just mental, it's okay, it's satisfying to his mental thing, but what does he actually do with it? So he must come to the platform of service. He must, this inquisitiveness doesn't just mean asking oh yes, I'm very intelligent like this, I have this very intelligent question. But Prabhupada didn't need to ask so many questions. He understood when he heard from his spiritual master, okay, this person is a bona fide spiritual master, this person is my eternal spiritual master, and I should just simply serve him. So one simply decides to perform service. And so at this point, when one comes to this platform of service, what does he get? What does he get? Oh, twice born. And maybe somebody can quote this because the number of S's in there, I'm going to complete. Yes. Okay, so oh, twice born sages, by serving, Oh, twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the message of Vasudeva. So by coming to this platform of service, we become free from those devotees who are free from vice. By serving them, we also become free from vice, but we get attraction to hear and chant about the glories of the Lord, which is the goal of life, which is the center of our lives. Right now, we don't have so much attraction. We hear for a little bit, and then our mind wanders here and there. Bhagavatam says one should hear with complete attention. So by service to the spiritual master, one starts to come to this level of being able to hear from the spiritual master with complete attention. And when one does that, his heart becomes completely purified. And when that heart becomes completely purified, what does he see? He sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. It becomes an irrevocable fact. It doesn't become a question. It becomes a fact. And so, in this way, one starts to cross over the material existence. The body is compared to like a boat. The spiritual master is the captain, and the wind, the favorable winds, are the Vedic hymns. So one performs service to the spiritual master. This is the most important aspect of the Krishna consciousness movement, of one's spiritual life. So Prabhupada makes the point here that one should not just approach a spiritual master to make some discipleship. This is serious subject matter. We do not take initiation for the purpose of just a social, it becomes a social circle. Yes, I'm initiated, you're initiated, and then, let me get Brahman initiation. And then you're Brahman initiated, but you factually do not have any qualities of a Brahmana and actually perform that work which is completely opposite of that of a Brahmana. So what is the thread for? The thread is so I can show off, right? Oh, look at me. I've got... Just like people go to the store and buy, just like these rappers, they get all these, so many diamonds and say how many carats of diamond. It's the same thing here. Look, I got this. Because Brahman and whatever is meant to be on a high platform. And so one uses the spiritual master as a stepping stool to promote himself. Nonsense. Immediately fallen, immediately now become a mouse again. You know the story of this sage, of this rat in the sage. That the cat is running after the rat, and the rat tells the sage, right, that, please make me a cat so that they won't chase after me. And then the dog runs after him. And then the dog runs after the cat, and then the cat approaches the sage again and says, please make me a dog because the dogs are running after me. If you make me a dog, they won't run after me. And then a tiger runs after the dog, And he said, make me a tiger. And then when he becomes a tiger, he wants to eat the great sage. And he says, you become a mouse again. So one thinks, oh yes, I will use the guru. He may not outrightly, but his actions show like that. That yes, this guru is there. Now I will get some social status by getting initiation from him. What a nonsense. One cheats oneself. Cheaters and the cheated. In that way, in that consciousness one chooses a spiritual master, the spiritual master is not bona fide, and the disciple, he is also fallen. Both. So one has to choose a proper spiritual master because he's surrendering to him, and that surrender is absolute, actually. The disciple is absolutely surrendered to the spiritual master. Prabhupada comments in the Srimad Bhagavatam that if the disciple, after the spiritual master leaves the planet, he does not carry out the duties that he has to his spiritual master, he might as well die also. What is the use? This disciple should not just be a show disciple. Yes, I'm a disciple of him. The disciple should act in the service of the spiritual master with complete surrender, with complete determination in that service. Not that the spiritual master is around here, he's coming and going, and we're disciples and we're showing enthusiasm, but then he leaves and then we become karmis. Karmic grains, chant a few rounds here and there. This is not a disciple. I'm sorry, this is not a disciple. Just to show that determination within when the spiritual master around is not per se the all in all also. The real test comes when the spiritual master leaves. The real test comes when the spiritual master is no longer around. How, as Prabhupada says, you should all cooperate, my disciples. You should all work together. You should all keep the disciplic succession going. You should keep the pure message of Harikatha, that which is being passed down from Vyasadeva, from Sukadev Goswami. You should keep that going. Do not let all this nonsense, Sahajavad, this materialistic society, do not let these infiltrate our society. So to the extent that the disciples are able to fulfill the desires of the spiritual master, to that extent that disciple is a real disciple, or that disciple pleases the spiritual master. Not that everybody has to be some great person, the preacher, the greatest preacher in society. This is not what we're saying. We're saying following strictly in the line of the spiritual master. It means getting up early in the morning, chanting out 16 rounds, performing bhakti under the rules and regulations of the Shastras. And preaching is the center of it all. And preaching by showing example, not everyone may be a preacher. But following the orders of the spiritual master. That is very important. That shows us that we're not just some show of discipleship. That our inquiries that were made to our spiritual master were genuine. And when our spiritual master granted upon our hearts that knowledge, we hold that very strong, we lock it, we lock it and throw the key away. That's it. There's nothing else. Arana Koryo Maniash, there is nothing else for me now. This is it. I've taken the words of my spiritual master, they're in my heart, it's locked in there, and that's it. And it is purifying those words of the spiritual master. And it may be just a few words that one remembers throughout one's life. Many disciples of Srila Prabhupada like that, just Prabhupada himself also. You distribute these books in his consciousness for the rest of his life. Srila Prabhupada meditated upon that, acted upon those few instructions. Because as Prabhupada says, even one word out of my books will change their lives. One word. So the words of the spiritual master are potent, they can completely purify existence at once. One word from the spiritual master, if we are sincere. If we are sincere to hear, if we are ready to hear, if we are ready to change, if we are ready to undergo the difficulties that come with those instructions. So this inquiry doesn't just mean asking questions. The Maharaj Parikshit here is not just asking questions. It's very important to understand. He is looking he is looking to surrender. Actually, we're all looking to surrender. We have not found a place to surrender or the person to surrender to. But when we make proper inquiries and we come to the platform of realizing who our spiritual master is, and coming to that point and actually taking shelter of him, then all the inquiries in our mind may go away, and then that desire just to serve, that's it. It's a simple process, simple service with proper understanding. We come to that point, and that pleases the heart. That satisfies us. Kindly satisfy my inquisitiveness, Parikshit Maharaj is saying. Kindly give me service. Kindly give me service, my spiritual master. Please give me that service by which that I will be able to satisfy you. And as a result, all the persons that he's inquiring for will also become satisfied. So this is the position of a disciple. The spiritual master is not just there as a question, just a person to throw questions at, and he gives answers back, and that's it. The relationship is very deep. The relationship is eternal. The relationship does not end with this life. It is there, life after life after life, and it is there in the spiritual world. You will be serving under your spiritual master for the rest of eternity. This is the surrender of the soul. So, we have to come to that point, so we might as well do it in this life. We have to come to that point. You're going to do it, have to do it anyways. Why have to go through so many other lives? Yes, there's difficulties. Yes, this is hard. Yeah, my nature and my background and my mind and all this. But austerity is required. Yes, my desires. So this austerity, tapo divyam, means to tolerate all these things, all these difficulties, and surrender to the spiritual master. Because difficulties are there. I was hearing this lecture from my spiritual master. Even the pure devotees have difficulties. Even Prabhupada went through so much difficulty. It's not that he was a pure devotee, so actually it looked like difficulty, but internally he wasn't experiencing difficulty. No, he was undergoing difficulty. But that difficulty, there was no loss of determination at any point. Why? Because he's pure devotee. There's no even a thought that I should not do this. It's complete surrender that, yes, I'm doing this for my spiritual master, there's nothing else. Yes, there's difficulties, but so what? The fact that I'm performing this activity pleases my spiritual master, and that's perfect. Everything else I do is imperfect. Everything else I do is imperfect, independent of how pleasing it is to me. So that is Guru Pada Ashraya, that one just stops considering his own happiness. Let my Guru be happy. Otherwise, everything is imperfect. Just like the Bhagavatam says, even though imperfectly composed, it's perfect in itself, just because it describes the glories of the Lord. So even though sometimes we're imperfect in our activities, but if we're engaged in the service of the spiritual master and determined to perform that service, it may be done imperfectly, but because of that determination of the disciple, it becomes perfect. The disciple becomes perfect. Yes, a lot of austerity and a lot of difficulties, but that difficulty leads us to the highest platform of existence, to a point where we have to have no more difficulties in the material world. There will be difficulties in the spiritual world also. But no more difficulties in the material world, no more struggle for existence, no more struggle for identification, no more struggle for all these things, but complete satisfaction of the heart. So by making proper inquiry and by coming to this platform of surrender to the Guru, this is everything. And one gets everything by doing this. And the disciple today, the proper disciple today, becomes a proper spiritual master tomorrow. Why? Because he has seen his spiritual master act properly, and if he is purified enough, he himself will also continue that line of disciplic succession to act for the benefit of other souls. That is the guru-disciple relationship. That the guru trains the disciple eventually to become a guru. But the disciple never wants to become a guru. Very important point. The desire of the disciple is never to become a guru. That is given by the guru. We should not have that desire in our heart that I want to be a guru. I want to be a teacher. No, our authorities and our teachers, they impart that onto us, and that is service. Again, it is not, now I'm a guru, I am served. The guru is actually serving. He's serving his disciples in so many ways by giving them knowledge, by racking his brain in how I should engage this disciple in Krishna's service. So one has to understand all these things properly. Otherwise, everything is lost. If one thinks, yes, I can't wait to be a guru, he's stepping on the head of the guru already. Because you want his position, you're envious. Oh yeah, look, he has so many disciples, he has so many servants, I want to be like that, I want to be served. But the qualification comes by purification of heart, simplicity of heart. That's why, as being stated here in this verse, that he leaves aside all material considerations. He does not care for service to him. He's not out for that. He's only doing it for the service of his spiritual master. That's the only reason. Just as often recited is that Jai Prabhupada, and Prabhupada also says Jai Prabhupada. He's not thinking, yes, I am great. The spiritual master is never thinking, yes, I am great. He is great, but he's always thinking, no, my spiritual master is very great. This is the only reason for my existence, because of my spiritual master. There's no other existence beside me as a disciple of my spiritual master. There's nothing else. There's nothing else for me in this world. My identification is purely of that as a servant of my guru. So this is the qualities that Maharaj Parikshit has. Therefore, Shukadeva Goswami is endowing upon him this transcendental knowledge for the benefit of his disciple and so many others that are hearing. So we should be genuine. We should be genuine disciples because we have a genuine spiritual master. Keep that parampara alive of this pure devotional service, passing this down. And if we're not qualified, we don't have to be artificially to pretend to be qualified. We just be simple. Take out the trash, clean the floors, cook for Krishna. Simple, but it's the most exalted position in the whole universe to be doing these services. We don't have to be a great kirtan leader. We don't have to be the greatest of all these things. It's simple, going on, following the orders and the instructions of the spiritual master. So I'll end my class there. If there's any questions or comments and corrections, please feel free to ask.
That is your luck. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Vid. How do you know? Get with persons who can guide us toward the highest benefit. How do you know? How do you know? When so many people are saying so many different things. And that is your luck. Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagavan Jiv Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. Good luck. Good luck. If you have good luck, you get a good guru. But then one has to be sincere. If one is sincere, one will get a proper guidance. If one wants to be cheated, there are plenty of cheaters.
I was thinking about that. This is like one of my favorite lectures.
You can share it on the.
Yeah, I can share it. I'll share it. It's one of my favorite lectures. It's called good luck. Sorry, what's this called? Sorry, yeah, be sincere and become that one sincere disciple. It's and Maharaj gave like a series of talks. The 10th canto, chapter 1. So as it's such an important point. And just making a few notes here. And I have a question also, but Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says this: there's eternally an impassable line of demarcation between the Savior and the saved, and those who are really saved can alone know this. There's eternally a line of demarcation between the Savior and the saved. So it's a really important thing. And Prabhupada, he in one lecture, I just pulled this up. Srila Prabhupada in 1936, Srila Prabhupada says this, in 1936, just on the 13th December, I wrote him one letter, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. It's like, how may I serve you, right? There's like, if you stretch that, you can understand this more. I think by the beginning of December 1936, I wrote one letter to Guru Maharaj. I knew he was very kind upon me, so I wrote that, Guru Maharaj, you have got many disciples. I am also one of them, but they are doing direct service to you. Some of them are brahmacharis, some of them are sannyasis, but I am a householder, I cannot. Of course, I was giving some monetary help, but I could not give any direct service. So I asked him that, if there's any particular service I can do for you. So Prabhupada says, how shall I serve you? Is there any particular service? You have so many. So that letter was replied in 13 December and dated 13 December from Puri. He passed away on the 31st December, just a fortnight before. So the reply was the same as he wanted me to do this preaching work in 1922. When I first met him, that you try to preach whatever you have learned from me to the English-knowing people, in English. That will do good to you and to the people whom you shall preach. That is my instruction. And this is a quote from Srila Prabhupada's lecture on His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada's Appearance Day, LA, February 7th, 1969. And I remember hearing that lecture. Prabhupada says, my dear such and such, he starts off like that. Then, my dear such and such, the same instruction is then, we can see Prabhupada printed all these books to the English-speaking population, not just English, so many other languages, Prabhupada is preaching to. And, there's so many show bottle spiritualists, in the science of self-realization. There's that whole, I strongly recommend devotees can look at it. It's called Separating the Saints from the Swindlers. There's like this really amazing chapter in the science of self-realization. And in that, Srila Prabhupada speaks about show bottle spiritualists. That people just make a show of like doing this. And we see so many of these people, we just met so many of these people, like it's like completely exploiting, completely speak all kinds of nonsense, And the thing is, there's so many people who fall for it. And they have like these so many like things that they do to make people cry. But it's just completely bogus, Like, for example, like one of these crazy people was there, and Distributor Bhagavatam said to him, he was one of the psychic readers there, and they just tried to touch like their emotion. Like, he hugged me and he was like, is your mother alive? I said, yes. He said, is your grandmother alive? I said, yes. And then he was like, I feel a very strong female protective energy around you. And I was thinking, bro, like, this is what they do. Like, basically, most of the people are like middle-aged white women and their mothers died. So they say, did your mother die? Yes. Oh, your mother is protecting you. And they start crying. This kind of nonsense, right? Yeah. So many rascals like this, I was just saying, bro, you're so bogus, And also, I wanted to ask you, that you're speaking about achar, prachar, and vichar, right? Like achar is, proper ideal behavior, ideal setting the standards, and prachar is preaching. So, and vichar is like proper understanding, proper realizing. So, I wanted to ask you, if the proper understanding is there, is it that just in a matter of time, even if achar and prachar are not perfectly there, it'll just come in a matter of time? Is my understanding?
Yeah, that
right?
seems right. Just like the unripe mango becomes ripe, it's just like that one eventually becomes. There's like it's because the cultivation is there. Just like I was hearing this lecture from Guru Maharaj, and he was saying Prabhupada is saying he's mentioning this purport from Srila Prabhupada that When one goes to going to the marketplace, cooking, cleaning for Krishna, this is samadhi. And Guru Maharaj comments on this. He says, there's the disciple and he may be engaged in the service, and when he's going to the marketplace, he may get distracted. He may look here and there and something attracts him, but anyways, he's got to go and shop for Krishna. So overall, like I've said this a few times probably, but to the individual devotees, but it's in that direction. So it's like that cultivation of that desire to let go of that material desires there, but we don't have the strength sometimes. Like we have bad habits, we have issues, and we know it, and it's been pointed out in us. But it's like there's this stronghold of just nature, material nature that's there. And so it's very simple process, hearing, and then we can pray that it become that internal desire to become purified and to perform devotional service in a proper manner becomes manifested. Just one important point when you're quoting Srila Prabhupada, it's just like a thought came in my mind. He never thought about becoming a guru.
No way.
You see Srila Prabhupada, it's just like, I'm a simple householder, what can I do? His spiritual master had to come to him in his dream, say, no, take sannyas. 3 times, take sannyas. He said, okay, I'll do it for the service of my spiritual master.
Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj told him, without taking sannyas, no one can be a preacher. And Prabhupada says, my Guru Maharaj practically forced me through this Godbirth. And he writes that verse, that he made me drink, although I was reluctant, he made me drink the nectar of renunciation.
So, some very important point to observe in Srila Prabhupada's life and his teachings.
Thanks, Prabhu. I really enjoyed your class. I have a comment and a question. The question is editorial in the Sanskrit today. I don't know if anyone picked up on this. The word was prapannam, and it was translated as it was said to be surrounded. But in the translation today, the word was surrendered. I don't know if anyone picked up on that. Yeah. Prapanna, does that mean surrender?
Yes, surrender. Yeah, there may be some.
I think it's corrected in future editions.
This new one we have is still wrong.
Maybe some no.
Maybe. I'll look into it.
I think you read it properly on your laptop.
Yeah.
Today's verse. Surrendered and it's still have a lot of edits in the books.
You would know.
But just a few comments on glorification.
No, it says one who is surrendered.
Okay, good.
Prapannaya.
It's fixed then.
Yeah.
But a few points about Srila Prabhupada. You're saying how for a pure devotee, they still have so many difficulties.
Oh, yeah.
And I was hearing this lecture, Srila Prabhupada was explaining when he had taken sannyas, we all know the story, but Prabhupada was hit by a bull, and Prabhupada was laying on the road. He said, "What is this? I've taken sannyas?" And that's just one instance. I mean, Prabhupada's life was just full of tribulations. And the point you were making was really nice about those devotees, or even Srila Prabhupada himself didn't have so much association with his beloved spiritual master. And I was hearing a story about His Holiness Devamrita Maharaj. During the Chaitanya Charitamrita Marathon, Maharaj wanted to participate in some way, and I think Maharaj was helping edit the books or somehow compile, doing some work with the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Prabhupada...
Chapter summaries, like the beginning of, and like Maharaj even wrote the titles of the chapters, like Hiranyakashipu analyzes the universe, he wrote the chapter title. Maharaj told.
So when Prabhupada was visiting the temple that Maharaj was serving at, Prabhupada came to where Devamrita Swami was working, I guess writing the chapter titles, and Prabhupada just looked and just said one word. Prabhupada said, He was like observing his disciple, and Maharaj was explaining. That was, I don't know if it was the only thing that Srila Prabhupada had said to him, but he was saying how, I was hearing one of his disciples explain this, how that has carried Maharaj for so many years, just having that one single interaction with a pure devotee. What the Shastra says is true.
Just like we were hearing from Shiki Mahidi Prabhu also, the eagerness to have the, go and be in association with the spiritual master, and how Krishna granted him that. And just like you hear so many Prabhupada disciples, you hear some of them, like Guru Maharaj in his lectures often says like this, he says that a lot of the book distributors didn't have association of Srila Prabhupada so much, but they just felt. And then even after Prabhupada left, Prabhupada's here. I mean, I know we know Prabhupada left, and we're really sad, but it's just like we've always felt Srila Prabhupada in distributing his books. So to us, there's a difference, but at the same time, we feel connected. So it's like, that the connection to the spiritual master through his Vani and through his service to the spiritual master. Anything else? Yes, bro.
In one lecture, Bhakti Vikas Maharaj says, he says, if I knew how painful of a service it is to be a spiritual master, I would have never been a spiritual master. He said that.
Yeah.
It's not some...
Yeah, it's
like, a bona fide spiritual master is not someone who enjoys the facilities offered by his disciple.
Yes.
Like, how much can you eat, Like,
He cares for his disciples.
Yes.
Like you see, you read these letters, what is this? Patrupadesh. If nobody's read it, those who are aspiring disciples of Maharaj, you can look through that. It's some of it is like quite like, whoa, he's caring for this disciple, but the disciple doesn't care. We've seen so many instances where the disciple turns against the guru. And because you see, it's just like, what is that verse that is there in the Mahabharata that, it's one thing to be pained by an enemy, but then the most painful thing is when someone close to you hurts you. So for the spiritual master, the disciple is very close. The disciple is very, very close, and he's watching the disciple wanting to make sure that the disciple is successful in spiritual life. So when they turn against him and they fall out and all this, there's a lot of pain involved. Even you can experience within whatever, when you start to come to Krishna consciousness, and later you see people come through and they come in and they're nice, and then they drop out or they struggle, and there's so much pain within that. And then you can start to see like, oh my God, how much your spiritual master goes through. And he's like so much more than what you just get a little bit of. So yeah, it's such what is that verse is that one should not become a guru, one should not become a teacher, one should not become a mother or a father if he cannot give liberation. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. It's not that I sit on a high seat and now everyone will glorify me throughout the three worlds. It's like it's a serious business. It's not something. It's not like being a CEO. Or it's not being some singer or anything like that. This is like heavy responsibility. And so that's why the disciples should study properly under a spiritual master, so they understand the heaviness of that and responsibility when they become spiritual masters. So all these things are very important to understand. Anything else? Okay, Mataji's?
Ethan.
Oh, Ethan. Ethan has a question. Oh, Ethan's.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You can hear me?
Yes, pranams.
Okay, yeah, my question. You were saying that when you take initiation from a spiritual master, the eternal relationship is established, and you serve him in the spiritual world. And so I was wondering, what if the disciple takes another birth in the next life and they take up another spiritual master? What happens in that instance?
Well, it's mentioned that the spiritual master comes back to save the disciple. So it may just continue in the parampara. So that's disciple means continuation of the parampara. So he will take initiation within the same line of disciplic succession, and in that way be saved from his difficult situation. You want to add anything? It's a pretty straightforward.
The spiritual master has to come back, save the disciple. But yeah, he manifests himself.
Yeah, as his disciples, yeah.
He manifests himself in multiple ways. Sometimes he may personally come, sometimes he may come to the gate. Anyways, that's it.
Okay. Any questions from the Matajis? Yes.
In this regard, even when Balaram kills Romaharshana Sutta, when Balaram kills Romaharshana Sutta, in the Bhagavatam, in the Krishna book also, all the Brahmanas are like, Balaram, you killed, Romaharshana Sutta, and we gave him a benediction that he'll live a long life. So, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to bring him back? And he said, what we'll do is, Romaharshana Sutta has a son, Trutha Goswami, and we'll transfer that benediction over to him. Why? Because the son is considered to be the expansion of the father.
Mm-hmm.
So we can understand like this also, like the disciplic succession.
Yeah, we have experience of that. Okay, sorry. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Now